It's interesting that the Indy 500 decided to do what the WNBA refuses to do, and that's make Caitlin Clark the face of their organization. So you may have seen the other day that the WNBA were promoting, I guess, a triple header, a bunch of games.
They didn't use her.
And when it came to the Indiana Fever game, they chose a player averaging 1 point a game and not Caitlin Clark, who's averaging like 28 points a game.
Or Leah Boston, former first overall pick.
They decided to stab her in the back again.
The entire racetrack was shut down when Caitlin Clark arrived at the Indy 500. Not a single vehicle moved. The audience went insane. Men in their adult years were yelling. Additionally, the internet is still becoming better. Was it a half-court shot, the anthem, or did she simply casually mention the year's best sporting moment? You won't believe what transpired next.
Now, despite there not being any basketball going on, Caitlin Clark has found her way back in the media. Today, she is at the Indy 500 to be the Grand Marshal. And you know Caitlin Clark came out in a grand style, man. Thousands of fans literally is at the Indy 500, and Caitlin Clark shut the place down. Now, videos is starting to come out online, pictures, and we finna react to it all. My girl Caitlin Clark put on a spectacular performance last time she played.
It may surprise you to learn that a single basketball player can enter America's most well-known race and make more noise than 33 motors running simultaneously. When Caitlin Clark got to the Indianapolis 500, that's pretty much what occurred. And all of a sudden, the event turned into a racetrack, complete with spectator frenzy.
They hate Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I know why.
The Indy 500 came out and said, we'd like you to be our Grand Marshal. So Caitlin Clark can be the face of the Indy 500, but cannot be the face of the WNBA. Make that make sense.
I'll tell you how it makes sense.
Oh, that's right. They hate her maybe because she's, I don't know, a straight white woman?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
That's not why.
Is that possible?
Paige Beckers is a better player. Here's why.
Is that possible?
She's not complaining to the refs nonstop with them.
With a nonchalant swagger that makes it obvious this lady is more than simply a basketball player, she assumed that position. Institutions are astute enough to use her as a full-fledged cultural force before anybody else does.
She was 22, 2-9, man. Just a lit weekend for Caitlin Clark. Now, we do know her parents. It was rumored that her parents, her aunts and uncles, and everybody came in from out of town for this moment. There was Caitlin with thousands of fans at the Indy 500.
Hey, it's Caitlin. I'm here at the Indy 500 with all my friends. Excited to be here first time.
So this is her first time there. And yeah, man, Lexi Hall looked like she came to show support with Caitlin Clark.
Giving her the keys to the Indy 500 was not a haphazard publicity gimmick devised in a boardroom. It was a very conscious recognition that her influence extends well beyond the basketball court and into areas where tradition, speed, and large crowds converge.
Caitlin Clark out at the Indy 500 today, ladies and gentlemen, looking fresh, looking like the global icon and superstar that she is. You know, they've been putting Clark's picture on a lot of the race cars and stuff because she's the most electrifying woman in women's basketball. Dope to see Clark out here having a good time. A certain fan base always talking about Met Gala or who's more marketable.
And gosh, her presence caused those throng to clash. There was no courteous applause from the stands as if they were at a symphony. They exploded. During a blowout game, security queues were longer than some individuals could stand. Requests for autographs poured in from all sides, and the sheer number of phones raised above the track formed a little constellation of its own. It didn't feel staged. This was spontaneous anarchy, the type that occurs when real star power collides with an eager crowd. The fact that she was able to easily overshadow the race before it even began makes the entire thing even more hilarious. When a basketball player stole the show at one of the world's most renowned motor races, the internet did what it does best: lose its mind in real time. It recorded every emotion, every audience yell, and every stunned commentator's attempt to comprehend the situation.
Man, the takeover is underway. Caitlin Clark taking over at the Indy 500. Take a look at this here. A woman of the people. See, now I gotta go to an Indy 500 to see what's really going on. I gotta go to one now. Indy 500 and F1 is on my list.
Adults were behaving as though they had never seen a famous person before. Because Caitlyn works on a different frequency, they hadn't, in a sense. Even non-sports fans are drawn to her. Families, casual followers, inquisitive newbies, and veteran racing enthusiasts who found themselves screaming her name in between engine RPM are all drawn to her. Naturally, everyone in her vicinity is aware of this degree of power, especially those who have been seeing her rise for the past few years with what can only be called growing jealousy. For example, Angel Reese appears to be handling everything in the most predictable way imaginable. Angel is trapped in a cycle of side-eye and barely disguised annoyance, while Caitlyn is out there closing down storied racetracks and transforming them into extensions of her personal brand. Reese is undoubtedly talented, but she doesn't have the type of large, almost absurd fanbase that views Caitlin Clark as a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. Supporters of Caitlyn go above and beyond simply showing up. They occupy venues. Social media is inundated with them. They cross state boundaries. And they shout uncontrollably for a woman who plays with a captivating skill set and delight.
Multiple 20-plus, 30-point games and all these assists leading your team. You can do off-the-court shit like this in the middle of this season, and it's cool because Clark is a hooper and she can make layups. It's great to see Clark out here represent. I think she said this is her first time doing it, but it's great because, like I say, with the NASCAR, the race car shit, they've been putting Clark's picture on some of the cars. That's dope to be represented like that as an athlete, especially for women's sports. Just growing the game, man. We love you, Caitlyn.
Yes, Angel supporters are devoted, but they don't quite get to the point where activities revolve on a single person's appearance. It must be painful to witness someone else with such a natural gravitational pull when you are preoccupied with crafting your own story in the same league. When you consider what Caitlyn means for her own squad on a daily basis, the difference becomes even more stark. This season, the Indiana Fever have had trouble with uneven attendance and organizational issues. However, the spotlight follows Caitlyn like a submissive shadow as soon as she leaves basketball to enter something like the Indy 500. The engine is her. They turn into appointment television with her. It's a lot of strain, yet Caitlyn manages it with such composure that everyone around her seems to be overreacting. Naturally, her relatives turn there, as they always do. They have supported her at every phase of this crazy journey, giving her a solid base as everything around her speeds up. Another layer of support that serves as a reminder that this phenomena is still very much a person surrounded by people who sincerely want her success is the fact that teammate Lexi Hall also traveled.
So, let me start off by saying this. The WNBA is failing Caitlyn Clark. It just is what it is. And if you guys want to sit here and there's people who are going to come into my comments and say, oh my God, here you are, black woman, caping for this white girl. I am. I'm putting the cape on for her because it...
That's the first thing they say. That's the first thing they say. Oh, well, you're black. Why are you defending her? That's the first thing they always gonna say.
It has to be said, and I have to call it out and call it for what it is. It is starting to become evident. I'm somebody who knows.
The cross-demographic appeal that Caitlyn possesses sets her apart from a lot of other emerging stars in today's fractured society. She's not simply well-liked by Midwest basketball fans. Even those who have never watched a WNBA game may relate to her. Because she was present, racing fans who had no interest in women's basketball suddenly became passionate about it. Children, parents, grandparents, men, women, and individuals from a wide range of political and cultural backgrounds are all brought together by the fact that it is electrifying to watch her do anything. The funny thing is that some individuals are still making a real effort to minimize it. They act as though the thunderous crowds at the Indy 500 were some sort of mass delusion, as though her effect were artificial or fleeting. Every statistic, however, continues to show the opposite. When Caitlyn is engaged, ticket sales, viewing figures, merchandise movement, and social media engagement all increase.
Daytona is, of course, the Indy 500, and Caitlyn Clark was asked to come up there. We got some video, we got some pictures, and all of this is going absolutely crazy online. Let's check this out, her walking in. There she is, walking in right there. No sound. Pretty cool, pretty cool. There's also this entire red carpet situation. Let me just find it here.
The league has been attempting to decipher mainstream importance for years. The code turns out to be a generational talent who outperforms the majority of men's league guards. carry herself with no pretension, and shoots from the logo range as if it were nothing. She makes the seemingly improbable seem commonplace. And in the attention economy, charm combined with expertise is deadly. You also need to recognize how ridiculous the time frame is. Women's basketball was barely making ends meet with small audiences and few broadcast opportunities just a short while ago. Every game becomes an event when Caitlin Clark enters the picture and delivers performances that should be on highlight reels for the ensuing 10 years. Usually saved for game-winning shots or spectacular overtime finishes, they were boisterous, exuberant celebrations. Rather, they occurred as a result of her smiling and waving a flag. That is the ultimate sort of star power. Even while Angel Reese is still forging her own route, replete with her trademark competitive fire that makes her a formidable force on the court, it is difficult to overlook the external hysteria. Fans of Caitlin are not only fond of her. If she's even close, they're willing to transform any location into a circus tent, ride or die.
Orders weren't even allowed in the pit until 1971, and the first woman to qualify happened in 1977. And being the Grand Marshal, the person who tells the drivers to go to their cars, is no small honor either. I mean, some notable ones in the past have been President Gerald Ford, Peyton Manning, even Mickey Mouse a couple times. So that's why today it was very, very cool that Caitlin Clark became the second Indiana Fever player in history to be the Grand Marshal at the Indy 500, joining the absolute legend that is Tamika Catchings. I love seeing this happen today, and learning the history of this moment made it feel even more significant.
It is hard to duplicate such exhilarating intensity. Although Reese's brand is built on toughness and flair, which appeals to her core audience, it hasn't yet developed into the type of national crossport phenomenon that Caitlin has attained. In that situation, jealousy is almost reasonable. There may be a tension that manifests in subtle ways through interviews, social media, and overall atmosphere when you witness someone else drawing audiences that size while you are still striving for comparable notoriety. When the hype machine threatens to go out of control, her family serves as that anchor, keeping her grounded. The presence of Lexi Hall brought a pleasant sense of camaraderie among teammates and shown that the Fever organization really values her contributions on a daily basis. These personal elements are important because they keep her from becoming an untouchable symbol in the story. Although she is extraordinary, she is not working in a vacuum.
Remember last year when the WNBA investigated fans of the Indiana Fever because Angel Reese claimed to be the victim of mythical racism? They launched a full investigation into the Fever fan base, also known as the only fan base keeping this turd afloat. Of course, they didn't find a damn thing, but the precedent has been set. The WNBA front office, they have promised we will keep our players safe. We protect our players from any and all criticism.
If we're being honest, the wider ramifications for women's sports are enormous and perhaps overdue. For years, the main topics of discussion were how to expand the game, draw in new players, and ensure its financial viability. In response to such queries, Caitlin just played at a ridiculous level and allowed her inherent charm take care of the rest. She has compelled businesses to re-evaluate their investment, stadiums to increase capacity, and networks to pay notice. All of that was captured in one memorable day at the Indy 500. The persistence of attention across several seasons is real. Beyond highlight reels and into the area of true cultural significance, Caitlin Clark has created something enduring. People are moved by her. She transforms casual onlookers become ardent admirers. She accomplishes this without resorting to staged theatrics or continual self-promotion. In a time when so many athletes seem to be designed for virality, the genuineness is welcome.
Caitlin Clark's in full takeover mode. I mean, hey, you didn't believe the people that seemed like come out for Caitlin Clark here. Caitlin has arrived at the Indy 500, another angle, red carpet action.
Anticipate more moments like the Indy 500 as the season goes on and the Fever continue to battle for positions. Anticipate more people going crazy, more improbable crossovers, and more discussions about how great this one person has become. The difference in the pandemonium outside is still obvious, but Angel Reese will continue to carve out her own path with her own zeal and expertise. At racetracks, one player causes spontaneous outbursts. It feels well-deserved. Every applause she received from the Indy 500 crowd was evidence of her hard work, skill, and enthusiasm for the sport. People react appropriately to Caitlin's constant delivery in a society that yearns for genuine brilliance. The closure of the race course was not an isolated incident. It was only the most recent evidence that everything else becomes the opening act when she appears. The best thing is that we get to witness it continue to develop week after week, moment after absurd, thrilling moment.
You put 10 women on the court, or even in the same room together, and I guarantee you an argument is going to happen at some point. We are going to see fights in the WNBA throughout the season. That is normal. Although, I will say, it does seem to happen with more regularity with Caitlin Clark. She does seem to be the most attacked player in the league.
When you zoom out and see that this is only the start of her reign of joyful disruption, there's the true kicker. Other sports leagues are already observing the WNBA with a mixture of admiration and admiration, wondering how one rookie who went on to become a superstar was able to get casual fans to treat a basketball game like Coachella with jump shots. She is now a living billboard for companies astute enough to partner with unstoppable momentum, as endorsement opportunities that previously crept in are now entering her email at a speed that would overwhelm weaker mortals. Imagine boardroom executives giving high fives over numbers that, only 6 months before, they hardly comprehended. All because an Iowa lady chose to play basketball as if it owed her money. She has done more than merely improve her team. She has expedited the entire sports culture timeline, making everyone else either catch up or fall behind. She demonstrates that you can rule without becoming a caricature by maintaining her trademark humility and calm-killing instinct throughout it all. Caitlin Clark is far from done changing the script, so the sports world had best fasten their seatbelts.